everybody hear me okay? First of all, I want to know that. I'm pretty sure you should be able to chat. I have not done a YouTube live in a long time, if ever. I feel like I might have done a couple before, but let's find out, shall we? Let me see. I'm just gonna make sure. Okay, so it looks like I am slightly delayed, but not too bad. Sorry if you hear my echo. I just wanted to see how this was working. Okay, I think we're good. Just one person let me know that you can hear me okay. Thank you, Teresa. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. I know this is impromptu and unexpected, and I'm super excited to dive in because I felt like, hey, let's be creative today, shall we? Okay, so just a quick FYI, I put links to the brush sets that I'm using, but of course I forgot to put in the HTTP whatever, so you're gonna have to copy paste it if you do want to grab this set. Otherwise, you can just draw along with me. You don't have to have this brush set. It's new to me, so I'm experimenting, and it's so far really fun. So it's called the something having to do with ultimate crayon. It's like the ultimate toolbox that's crayon, and it's all these crayon textures that are like waxy, and they're created from real crayons, which is really cool. And I really enjoy having a go at some just kind of, some more texture, some stuff that looks like it's more intentionally on, an analog setting or whatever. So work along with me on Procreate, work along with me with Paint, whatever you want to do. This is a very easy tutorial that we'll be going over, and we're just going to be picking out some random fruits. I'm not using a reference. This is coming from my brain only because we're basically just working in shapes. Quick two things I want to say. One, you have the option to draw your outline first and then put a shape in. So I'll do that for the first one, and then the second one I'll do opposite so that you can start with color and fill and then draw an abstract line. And I'm going to show you kind of the difference between how the two can give off kind of just a little bit different effect. So if you grab those brushes, just as an FYI, you can use whatever you want, but I'm going to start with the crayon. It's called New Soft Tip, so it must be an update. And then I'm going to go with like a mandarin orangey type of, I want to scroll down here so I can see the chat. Okay, just a sec. I have this up on my computer so that I can see you guys. So I'm going to set this down to mini player. No, not mini player. Oh my goodness. I just want to make sure I can see your chat, the chat, default view. There we go. There you guys are. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to pick like an orangey color, and then I'm picking that New Soft Tip, and all I'm going to do is just draw kind of an imperfect circle. So, oops, that's too big. Imperfect circle, and I'm going to kind of overlap it and then just color it in with that same brush. So if you can see, just to see some texture, I chose this one because it doesn't fully fill the space. It still has some of this texture in here, which I like. I also like the edges a lot because if you go a little smaller with this brush, then you can see it has a little less texture, but it still has some. Another thing I love about this brush set, if you did grab it, I saw a couple of you grabbed it, there's an eraser set in it that says crayon solid eraser or crayon textured eraser. Just an FYI for those who aren't familiar, you can use any brush as an eraser as well as a brush. So even though these are like considered, they were created for being erasers, you could also use them as a brush and vice versa. But so like, let's say you have this awesome texture, but you wanted kind of a sharper edge. It just creates a cool texture as an eraser, which is awesome. So if you wanted to cover like an entire area that's just kind of like, you went to town and maybe it was bigger and you just wanted to get that texture in, and then you want to go back and refine edges, that's the way you could do it. And it has a really cool texture that it leads. So anywho, tips. Okay, so this is the first one I'm doing, and then what I'm gonna do before I add any sort of detail is I am going to create a new layer, and I'm gonna give it a stem and leaves. And you know, the thing to note about doing these types of fruits is you can choose any color palette. So I could choose purple, which I think is oh so very fun. I'm just making that same brush that I was using, smaller. Yeah, and I'll make this a little darker for this stem. And I'm kind of bringing it way out, and then I'm gonna have these leaves a little bit bigger here, so there's more texture at the ends. And you can see that I'm just coloring it in like it's an actual crayon, which I think is so fun. And then, whoops, I'm gonna do it to the other side, maybe have it even coming off, just because I'm trying to go more abstract with these. And you'll see once the line is in, it will look very fun. Okay, so see how it just like, it literally looks like a crayon druid. That's only one brush. I just get so excited about this stuff. You guys know I love texture. I'm obsessed with it. All right, and then if you want, you can always drag that a little closer, however you want to do it. I think kind of like it off. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. That's the beautiful thing about Procreate is that we have this control. All right, and then I'll thicken the stem just a wee so it doesn't look so sad and lonely. Now the magic happens, which is adding in shading. So I'm going to use the same brush pack. I'm just going to use some larger grain. So there's like smooth grain, texture table, rough tip, blunt end. Again, all of these were made with real crayons, which is so cool. So I think that I will go, we are kind of exploring this together. This is the first time I've done a full thing with it, and I wanted to do it with you guys. I did sample everything first, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to jump on a workshop, which is why nobody got notification of this except for like 2 hours ago, because I needed to play. And I figured, why not play with people? Soft wax, that's what I'll try. And I'm just gonna go to a lighter purple color. Now, for those who aren't familiar with the magic of clipping masks, creating a layer on top of the layer that you want to apply it to. So rather than drawing on that same layer, I created a layer on top of it, I tap it, I say clipping mask, and now what happens is anything that I do, no matter where it is, will only affect that layer below it. So I have this lighter color, I have this new texture, and I'm just gonna put it in like this. Now that might actually be a little bit too, if I go lighter, it might, lighter pressure, I mean, it might work how I want it to, but it might be too concentrated for what we're looking for, but it is a cool option. But let's say you want it to be more spaced out, like this one is a little bit lighter, and this is called texture table. All right, so I'm gonna just highlight some of the areas, and I'm thinking about, I'm not even really thinking about light source here, which I should be, because that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to put them both on the left. It doesn't really matter, you guys. I say put it wherever you want it to go. But if you're thinking about a light source and you want to follow the rules, think about a flashlight right here. And this is, you know, where the light hits. This is where the light hits, all up in this area. And then the rest would be a shadow if you want to be, you know, a rule follower. But rule followers are boring. So I think that's boring. Yeah, so I just saw Lauren asking what the brush set is. I did link them in the description here, but I'm sorry, they're not hyperlinks because I forget that you have to put the HTTP in. So the very first link, just copy paste it. It takes you to this one. The other one that's beneath that is like a full pack of like 300 brushes, and they come with, let's see, where is it? Trailhead, where is it? This. It comes with acrylic, airbrushing, charcoal, crayon, gouache, ink, markers, oil, pastel, watercolor, and textures. So this is the first of very many tutorials that I'm going to do with walking through all of these types of brushes. Of course, you don't have to use them again, but if you do want them, I am a brush fiend, and especially when they're bundled, I'm like, okay, good deal. Yes, count me in. Like we need any more Procreate brushes. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing to the mandarin layer. I'm going to create a layer on top of it, add a clipping mask to it, and I grabbed a darker color. I actually want to grab a lighter color. And this one, I'm going to grab a yellow. I know it's not a lighter orange, but I think that it's really fun to add in different colors as highlights, and it just adds a little extra something to it. So it's not just flat. It just kind of brings a little more interest to it. So I'm going to go even lighter now. And on that same layer, I'm not going to be too picky, just put a little bit of a highlight on the top. So see how that just kind of brings it to life a little. I'll do the same thing on the highlight layer clipping mask for these leaves. I want to go even smaller. So just a little bit of a highlight. This is like a white-ish color. I just went to this top area on my color wheel. All right, so that's good. Now we'll add some shadows real quick. You can do this on the same clipping mask layer, or you can create a different layer if you like to keep your shadows and your highlights separate. So if you can see on my layer panel, I just went to that main shape and then press layer, and press new layer, because it's creating that layer on top of this one, but it's sandwiched in between the highlight layer. It automatically clips to that layer, just a neat shortcut, in case you're wondering what's going on there. All right, and then for here, whoops, did I unclip it? No, I'm not on the right layer. Make sure you're on the right layer. And then for this one, I am just going to get the edges mainly, and then just bring it in a little bit. So concentrate on edges, bring it in a little bit, but I want that main color to be the focus. So now I'll go a little bit darker and make my brush a little bit smaller, and then go even thinner with that edge, just to kind of give it a little more definition, not as much, not as far inward, not as high up, but just enough to where, okay, I've defined like a shadow here, basically. I might actually bring that lighter color orange in just a smidge more. If this happens to you and you're bouncing all around and you don't have your history, a lot of people with iPads, like the smaller ones, I guess it doesn't show the history right here. So I usually just zoom way in and hold to find that color I was using, and then just go in again. You don't need that history panel. You really don't. Okay, so basic, right? I'm going to go back to the main shape. I don't like how now that I've added that darkness, it shows so much texture the whole way. So I'm going to smooth it out with the eraser. Under my erasers, go to the brush solid eraser at the bottom and just create a nice line that still shows texture, but it just smooths it out a smidge. And then at the top, I don't mind that texture there. I just didn't want so much at the bottom. Personal preference. I'm going to do the same thing to this leaf right here, just a little smoother in some of those parts, but nothing too fancy. And I'll go to create a shadow layer. So I went to the leaves, I pressed new layer, it automatically clipped since it's sandwiched but underneath the clipping mask here. I'll go to my purple and drag it down to get a little lower. Actually, let's do the same thing where we change the hue as well. So I'm gonna go darker, but I'm gonna make it almost kind of like a pinky, like a fuchsia-y, and see how that looks. I think that'll look really cool. So I'm just gonna do a little bit and bring it, yeah, so see how that just kind of like makes it a little more vibrant? I think that is so fun, but it still kind of keeps that monochromatic, and then orange, that yellowish with the violet complementary colors on the color wheel. So I just like to add that interest. If you guys feel stuck with color palettes when you're jumping into projects, one of my favorite ways to play, I have a walkthrough on YouTube that has a color palette template that you can play with, and it's downloadable. But a quick tip is that when you go into your colors and you go into harmony, it doesn't look clickable, but this underneath colors is clickable, and you can say complementary. So whatever color you're on already, it will show you the complementary color to that. And then split complementary, it shows you the two. If I bring this out, you can really see it. Just quick tricks. Complementary and analogous, if I say that right, are my favorites because this orange with this like reddish with this pink, like those together look awesome. So just quick tips on playing with that and seeing kind of how you can kind of come up with colors that look cool together. Okay, so this part is done, right? So now I'm gonna add my line, and this is where the abstract part is really fun because who says that your line has to be perfect or even has to match it at all? So I'm gonna create a new layer. I know, I'm a layer person. If it helps you to bundle your layers, all you need to do is select one of the layers that you're gonna bundle and then, swipe to the right and release, swipe to the right and release. Those will all be selected. Rather than merging them, I'm gonna go to group right here, and then I can collapse it and I can rename it leaves. If you wanna do that, and maybe you wanna do it with the tangerine layer, and then rename it tangerine. If you like to be nice and organized, cool. I don't usually do it, but for the sake of this, it might make it a little easier. All right, now I'm gonna do my line work. And you don't have to add line work. It looks really cool as is, but if you do like that offset look, normally I would go to black, but I'm feeling colorful, and I'm gonna go down to I'm gonna kind of take this warm color and just get a darker, I'm gonna go with this brownish, burgundy-ish brown. And then I'm going to crayon drawing tip. The nice thing about these brushes is that a lot of them actually do get really, really small. So like waxy texture, see, you can get that nice thin line with that too. So don't think you'd only have to use the drawing tip. I just want to, I've changed my mind. I've changed my ways. I am gonna do that waxy texture because I like it. I like how, All right. So thing about line work in shapes like this, Stephanie says, it's been a tangerine this whole time. I think I might have said orange. No, I said mandarin oranges. You're not wrong. I'm gonna call this whatever it is. Mandarin orange, tangerine. What are other yellowish, orangish fruits? Okay, so new layer, my drawing layer, I'm frozen on mine. There we go. To get your hand further away from the tip than you would normally hold it. Because when we draw, we're right here, right? So I want you to pull it out and just trust that, the further away, the better. If you can lift your arm off of your drawing surface, and here's why. And I want you to offset this. If you have to draw it over it, that's fine, and then move it. But I just want you to kind of do one of these. And just trust it. If you want to make it more round, that would make sense. So yeah, that is offset, but I want to offset it even more to that. So I kind of trace it, kind of, sort of. I do want to clean this part up just so that it looks more cohesive as a full line. You could even use a brush that is a lot more defined and isn't that crayon texture if you want it to look nice and sharp. But if you hold it further away, it gives you this freedom to have this imperfect situation. And I think it is just kind of magical. You don't even have to put the lines in for everything you've done. I did a stem in this leaf, and I think I'll just leave this leaf alone. And then you can add a little highlight area, and that's it. So I know it looks kind of weird as you're doing it, but look away, and then cool when you assign a background color and when you do another one. So I did this pretty large for my canvas, especially wanting to put a second one in here. These 3 layers and just move it over and draw in this area here, or I could go into my canvas settings and enlarge the canvas. So if you don't know how to do that, go to your wrench icon, go to canvas, crop and resize, and I can just pull this out more. or pull it down more, whatever I want to do, say done, and it will enlarge that so I have more space. It does make your canvas size larger, which makes you have less layers. Just be aware of that if you started on a huge canvas, but then I can move this wherever. I think I might just tilt it slightly, have it here, and then I'll do the next one here. Now, the next one, I want to do this differently so that you have a different kind of starting point. So let's say you feel more comfortable drawing something out first in the, let's say ink, the outline, there we go. Let's say you're more comfortable with that and you want to, so also a great way. And the cool thing is you might find that you have a really awesome line drawing that you want to save and then go in and do the rest of it. Oh, quick tip, I forgot to mention. If this isn't, like, if you don't like this solid or lack thereof line for outlines, all you need to do is duplicate it. So this is my line layer, so I'm going to swipe to the left, say duplicate, and then I don't know if you notice that I'm going to toggle it off and on. It's subtle, but it enhances it and makes it a lot, wow, possession, makes it a lot bolder. And then you can merge those two together and then they create like a nice bolder line. Just as a tip, I often do that. And the size of your line, like let's say you want it to be a lot more bold, if you duplicate it and then take that new layer, I just go pretty close, select that new layer and just drag it off a little bit. Lucy just started stomping around if you hear it. So see how much thicker that is now? It's significantly different. So if you decide you want a thicker line, that's an easy way to do it. I'm deleting that. All right. So now we can do what I promised. I'm going to say line or outline 1. She's breathing really heavy. It's not me, you guys. Oh, man. You know what? I'm sorry we're live. I know. I have to let her out because otherwise she's going to do this. No, go out. Out, out, out. The entire time. Okay. Thanks. The woes of being live. All right. So new layer time, doing the outline time. Now I'm going to draw this exact same idea. I'm going to bring my hand further away and just do kind of an imperfect shape. Don't worry if the ends don't meet up. You can just smooth that in, take that crayon eraser and get rid of that. And then you have this weird wonky shape. I noticed that for mine, this is thicker, but I can always resize it and see if it gets thinner. It's a little too thick still. So that's something I want to change. All right. And then I can smooth this out. Maybe. All right. I notice that when I draw these shapes, for some reason, they're always slightly tilted to the right and oblong that way. And so I'm actually going to cheat and I'm going to select it and just flip it horizontal. And that way they're not like perfectly mirrored shapes. And then I'll draw a stem coming from, could be from here, but that's giving me a cherry vibe. So I think I want to actually bring it from here. I'm not going to connect it because I want to be abstracty with it, but I am going to have a leaf coming off this way. I'm sorry for those of you who don't have a quick undo because I'm being naughty and just undoing. And then maybe a leaf, you know, peekabooing from right here. That looks weird, I know, but now we can fill it. So what we want to do from here is create a new layer. But, oh, look, I'm at the maximum. What is this, like the biggest canvas I've ever used in my life? How big is this thing? I have no idea. Oh, you know what? I'm using a canvas that wasn't new. It was like this project one and it was blank and I accidentally, whatever. Okay, you guys, listen. I'm going to cheat. And if you ever need a cheat, here's the way to do it. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe myself. I'm so embarrassed. I'm not. I'm going to turn my background color off and save this. Oh, no, I can't because PNGs, never mind. Just don't listen to me. We're going to keep going and it's going to be fine. What I'm gonna do is open these layers here and just add to those layers for this next one. But what you don't have to do that. My canvas is gigantic. Just create a layer underneath that line layer. That's the point of what I'm trying to say. And then I'll go and let's grab a different one this time. So we can play around with texture. So I think I'll stick with waxy texture because before I used the new soft tip. So I'll use the waxy texture and make that a little larger. Option, you can, Teresa said, welcome to my life. No, seriously, you guys, I know Procreate is really stingy with the layers if you have a smaller memory or if you have a giant canvas. This one is huge. I don't remember. I'm going to see what it is. I guess I could have just gone to canvas info. Yeah, it's like 25 inches by 18, 300 DPI. So it's just way too big. I don't need to be doing this on a canvas that big. Okay, I'm going to grab an orange, but I'm not going to grab the same exact orange I used before. I kind of just want to make it a little bit darker, make sure I'm on the right layer, and then let's see. Okay, cool. So I'm going to draw in here. If you like to go inside the lines, you can totally do that. I just kind of like to float in the same-ish area. And I'm going to color that in, make this a little bit larger so it has a little more see-through grit. It's not as tightly put together. And then you can offset it. So unfortunately, because my layers are so big, I'm going to have to go to this selection tool and then move it off right here. That seems good. And then I can apply the same effects that I did before. But I will do my leaves now so that I have just the base first. And I can grab one of those purple colors. Let's see, that one. And put this in. And you can see I'm not putting a ton of like effort into making these look perfect. I'm just kind of scribbling them in. And then I want to offset that too. So I'll grab one and maybe not even put it there. I might flip it and make it a little smaller. Yeah, I think I like that better because then I have some line work that I can move to connect. Although I don't want it to be... Yeah, that's better. I don't like it to be too symmetrical. So if you find that you get too symmetrical, feel free to play and to make that go away or make it stop. I think I'll put it up here actually. Yeah, there we go. And then it just adds that interest. So you guys want to know a cheat? One of my favorite things. Okay, I'm ready for this. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. It's a cheat. If you don't have time to do a similar thing. So let's say you made a unique shape, but you need all of these details. If it lets me do it, I'm going to merge my outlines together. So it'll let me do it. You can copy, like duplicate your clipping mask and then drag it over to this one. How naughty are we, right? Okay, and then I'll merge those together and then I'll grab this one, duplicate it, and bring that over. So yes, it does look the same, but if you can flip it and then just, move it however you want it to go, and it does look a little bit different. And then look at that. I just applied texture to both of those. I know, cheating is really nasty, but sometimes cheating is your best friend because do they look the same? No, they sure don't. But I will tilt this one just so it's a little less cheaty looking. Oh, and you can also play with blend modes and see, how things interact with one another. I'm going to save that for another time, but I'm going to merge these texture layers together so that my layers are happy and clean. And then I also want to, did I grab everything? Grab everything and then move it and position it where I want it to be in the canvas. And then I can go in and play with my background. So I like to save the background for the end, and this is not always a popular decision to make, but I do it because I want to see what's interacting with my choices. I know I didn't fill those leaves in yet, I just realized. but I want to see how it interacts with my choices on what I have on the canvas. Like I want to choose the colors I want to play with and then have my background just complement it. I am going to go into these leaves and walk through it again with a different texture brush just to kind of see and play. I like to throw in as much as I can in these, we'll call it a seshie. Sorry, not. There we go. As much in these as possible because I think that there's like always like a time and a place to do everything in these programs. And so the more information I can give you, the more I know it'll come up later and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember there's a way to do a thing. And then you'll have that in your back pocket, like cheating. You know what though? Like, I kid you not. Look at some of these like awesome florals that you see. Just look a little closer next time and see if you see any repeating elements. Because, oh, just an FYI. This was Waxy Drag was the brush I was just using. And then I'm going to go to the eraser and to the main shape. Remember, you have to go to the main shape in order to make any adjustments to the actual shape because it won't work on the clipping mask. But anywho, yeah. So that's basically it. And then you have this like adorable cutie pie, abstracty, playful fruit special treat words that you can run and go create an awesome print off of it. Which one? Waxy texture. I want to just add a highlight right there, just a little bit different. But like I can totally see this hanging in a kitchen of some sort. Like this is a trend that is really popular. Also something that we all just happen to love dearly. So please run with it and have fun with it. So yeah, it's not cheating. It's using the best tools available to us. Exactly. I'm also really, really fond of cutting corners. Anytime I can cut corners to save time. You guys know what I'm talking about. We do not have time. So when we give ourselves time and we allow ourselves to, you know, actually live our lives, but also enjoy the things that we enjoy. I don't need to give a pep talk on time. I'm done. Lastly, what I want to do is I typically like to keep things in layers. Yes, it did let me. But I'm going to create a new one and drag it down to just above the background layer. And this is totally optional. It is more fun to call it cheating. Exactly. And then I'm going to grab one of just like the looser textures. So I'm going to get Gravel Maker and see what that might be too much, too concentrated. I don't know if this is supposed to be Big Shaddy or not. But come on, like it's totally up our alley. We're calling this a seshie, and we have Big Shaddy, so it just makes me really happy. But yeah, I want to add some texture in. I usually do it pretty light if it's a lot of texture. If it's splatter, I'll go a lot darker. But if it's gonna cover a lot of ground, I want it to be real similar to the actual background color. So I usually grab the background color and then drag it over just a smidge and sample that out and see. So this one, the lighter that you press, the less texture you're gonna get. You guys can't see this at all. I'm gonna choose a darker color just so you can see the effect, and then I'll change the color after. If you can't see this, I'm watching the screen too to see if you can see it okay. I don't know, can you? If I make it really, really big, can you? There's a tiny lag, that's why I'm breathing weird. I'm not. Okay, yeah, you can see the texture. So I'm gonna leave that in here, and then I might just, I like the difference with the background. I like the amount of difference. I think I just wanna change the hue a little bit. So if I go to hue, so if I go to my magic wand here, it's the adjustment layer, hue, saturation, brightness. I want to do the whole layer, and then I can adjust the hue, and I just want to make it a little bit cooler. There we go. So see how it just kind of adjusts the whole thing, but when you zoom in, you have that nice texture, and voila, All right, now go upload it to Society 6 and have a day. um, how would you spell Big Shaddy? They spell it Shaddy, which is fun. It's like Big Daddy, Big Shaddy in this seshi. I don't know. Just don't listen. Um, okay, so then you can make this square, you can make it portrait, you can do whatever you want with these pieces. They are so much fun. You guys, I hope this was enjoyable for you. I know, sorry, the texture is really, really faint, but you can definitely make it more intense. I just didn't want to take away from this overall thing. So I hope this was helpful. I know it was super, super fast, but I wanted to play. Hey, mostly what I want to do, since this is interactive, is will you please share this on Instagram? Share whatever you made or what you are making or what you will be making on Instagram. Oops, whether it be Procreate or Analog or whatever, and tag me. Why do I keep doing that? Tag me in the actual photo so that I can see it, because I really, really want to check them out. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. I'm supposed to say, since we're on YouTube, I'm supposed to say the thing that YouTubers say, the 13-year-olds, which is, can you please subscribe and turn on notifications and all the things. But I do plan on doing more of these so that we can walk through, because they're just fun. And they're always going to be impromptu because I do terribly with commitment. So, all right, you guys, I'll see you next time.